Hey, you. It's been a while. I'm so glad you're here. And I'm so glad that you've chosen to connect with us. And we know that you have a lot of podcast options, and we're really honored to have you here. If you haven't already, feel free to hit the follow button, leave us a review, or maybe tell your friends about us. Also, if you'd like to continue supporting our podcast journey, we recommend you search for the link in our description and become a supporter. Any type of contribution goes a long way to keep the search alive.
Welcome back, guys, to Searching for MacGuffin, episode 10. This is part 2 of the Marvel
Movie method.
Marvel movie cinematic method.
No, Marvel movie method.
And with your hosts,
George.
Gabe.
and Link. We're excited that you guys are back listening to us talk about Marvel. Like I said last week, what a time to be alive.
I know. I would do this for free, and I still do.
Yes. But let's continue back. Last week, we stopped at the end of Phase 2 with Ant-Man. So today, we're going to continue right where we left off, starting off in Phase 3 with Captain America Civil War. Came out May 6, 2016. It's my birthday, May 6th. Movies that come out on my birthday, they tend to be awesome.
Yeah, that is true. And this is the first time we get hit with a single hero movie that's as big as an Avengers film.
Yeah.
This is an Avengers film, right?
This
Yeah,
is, this is an
this
Avengers,
is,
right? It's
Captain
like,
America Civil War or whatever. What's beautiful about it is it's a sequel to what many of our favorite Marvel movie is,
Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier. So it's basically Winter Soldier Part 2, but it takes it to the next level
Yeah.
with Avengers level scope. If anything, I think this movie's bigger than Age of Ultron.
In my opinion, it's what it does, yeah. For what it does, yeah.
It's
It's more-
bigger. It's better.
It's badder,
It has Spider-Man.
but like the good kind of bad, like Michael Jackson established. Because he's bad.
I like that.
You know
reference.
it. So it's written once again by Marcus and McFeely,
Yes.
directed by the Russo
The Russo
brothers.
Which, like I said, these two directed those two movies before,
Mhm.
Thor, Dark World, and what was the other one? They did Thor, Dark World, and
They did
What
Winter
do you mean?
Soldier.
and First Avengers, right? First Avengers.
You mean wrote, not directed.
I'm sorry, they wrote it, right?
Yes.
But then the Russos they come in and they start writing with these people,
hmm
and the movies are a lot better.
It's
Right.
magic.
So I'm not sure how much influence the Russo brothers have here.
Right. I'm sure they have a lot of
Of
influence,
influence.
and I think this is the perfect team, right? Marcus and McFeely and the Russo brothers,
Yeah.
they gel in a way
Together.
where there was good stuff in Marcus and McFeely's writing with Alan Taylor as the director of Thor: The Dark World and with
Joe Johnston and
Joe Johnston, right, in First Avenger. But this is
these four, just there's something about them.
the
Together,
all-star
they're
team.
magic. Exactly.
Yeah, this is where it starts here.
And like you said, it's not an Avengers movie, but it feels as big as an Avengers movie,
Yeah.
as important. It
It's
might.
an Avengers movie.
It is. It's
Yeah.
like a 2.0. 2.5.
It's
Sorry.
Captain America, Civil War, The Avengers. But also, what I love about it is I think I was a big fan of the Civil War comics, and I experienced this event, like many events, has.
Wait. You were a big fan of the Civil War comics?
Yeah, I love the Civil War.
The Civil, is it 7 issues or 10?
Yeah, it's 7 issues, the miniseries.
Just the miniseries.
Okay, I like the miniseries. I loved the experience of the event.
Yes, because I feel like as a comic, miniseries, it's all right.
I think it's all right.
There's
but
nothing
I think,
special about it.
Yeah, I think
But you're right. The event is it's
Yeah,
beautiful.
you need all the other issues and books.
I think as a casual comic book reader,
Yeah.
I did read Civil War and I enjoyed it, to be honest. Like I don't think I'm as deep into comics
Right.
as both of you,
hmm
but I think as a casual comic book reader, that one kind of like was like I remember everyone talking about it, and I just decided to check it out. I asked if you had it, and you did, and so I really enjoyed it as like a casual. I mean, obviously, like you said, it's not something special, but I think you have more to judge it upon. I
Uh-huh.
think you've
Yeah.
experienced more. I think you've read more. What were some of the things that you necessarily didn't like? I guess.
I don't remember shit happened.
He just is indifferent.
I'm like,
with
I
no
didn't think
support.
of, yeah.
I mean, I think we went into detail of Civil War in our
We talked
comics
about it,
101 issue earlier in the show. But I think one thing that I guess held back the Civil War comics was it was pretty one-sided. I think we were rooting for Cap's team,
Yeah.
and especially because Spidey was on it. Like he turns like within the story. He
And
starts with Tony,
Yeah.
and you like feel like, oh, he really shouldn't be with Tony, and then he turns with Cap, and it's
I like
clear.
that part. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's clear what side he should be on. It's a lot grayer, I think.
They flip it on its head in this one.
Yeah, in the films, I think they do a much better job balancing the teams.
Yeah. The scales are smaller in
Yeah.
the film because it's just what.
Which
6
makes
on
it even
6,
more
6 on
grounded.
6?
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes it more grounded, right?
Uh-huh.
But before that, you have literally like hundreds of heroes divided.
Yeah, even then, that's what I like about Civil War. In Civil War, it's like about a government issue in a country, as opposed to usually these big event crossovers are like destroy the universe, you know? So it's grounded for a comic book, and this movie's even more, like you said, small scale grounded.
And I think one of the main things too is that they take out two of the big players, Thor and Hulk.
Yeah, that's true
That you're
because
not destroying everything.
Well, they take out a lot of the big players though.
in what in the movie
In the movies, yeah.
like what?
Like who?
You don't have other villains that you can. I mean, heroes that you can't have because you don't.
Because you haven't set them up yet,
You
or
don't set them up. You don't have
Well,
the
this
right.
is
You don't
what
have the rights to them as well.
yeah, but what I think Gabe is saying is
Oh,
that
yeah.
Thor and
Thor.
Hulk are already in play. We've already seen them
Yeah,
in
yeah,
several movies.
Yeah, like someone like those two characters that you expect to see because they've been in these movies already.
It would have been cool to have them though.
Yeah, but I think it's so much cooler where it goes.
Yeah, I think it takes-
when they tell the
Please.
stories of where they were.
Because that's how it was when I watched it. I was like, where are these? Like, I always thought like what would have happened if they were in it, but I think that would have taken away
Yeah,
from the issues, and also like
Infinity
it would have
War.
been a lot.
Yeah.
It would have been
It
a
would've
lot
taken
more
away
than they
from
didn't really
Infinity
need.
War.
yeah, and I remember. Yeah, it would have taken away from Infinity War.
But it
That's
would
a
have been
good
cool.
point.
But Infinity War, they're not fighting. It would have been cool to see Hulk versus.
But they
Thor.
do it again.
but
with
well,
Hulk.
you will get to see the Hulk
Oh,
versus
that is
Thor.
true. That's true.
But also, I think going back to what we talked about last episode in Age of Ultron, where like Hulk is like, "Bye bye, I'm leaving on a jet," and we're like, "What? What does that mean?"
Mark Ruffalo. I mean, Edward Norton would have done that better.
Yeah, well, okay, but it pays off that he's gone. He's disappeared, and
Yeah,
we don't know. We have to sit on it for a little while. And how does Thor? Oh, he has that vision where he's like, oh, I have to go find the Infinity Stones. So again, those two characters get a send off in Age of Ultron that we didn't fully understand in that moment.
That
That
pays
takes
off.
them off the board, and then we'll see later on it pays off. But we love. I mean, I think everybody loves this movie.
Yeah.
I think the real linchpin here is we all expect the heroes to get into a fight and then
Make up.
make up and then team up against the real threat, which we saw Avengers, the first one, Marvel's The Avengers follow that, that pattern, and they turned it on its head here because that reveal that Zemo eliminated all the super soldiers and it's like a giant plot to pit them against each other. That was unexpected.
That was fantastic.
Yeah, I think it's just
I think he's such a great villain.
I think at this point, Zemo is he's the best villain at the point.
Yeah?
At that moment. Because before that, the villains were they didn't have much character development. You get
Yeah.
me? Oh, they're villains because they're villains,
You
right?
didn't like the robot in Thor?
The tin can? No.
well, even the robot in Age of Ultron. Like Ultron, they got a great guy to portray it, but his motivation and what he actually does in the film,
Yeah.
it doesn't really resonate.
Zemo
He was
has-
setting up a vision.
Zemo has the best, out of all the villains, I believe, Zemo has the best motivation.
Yeah, I mean, not counting Loki, who is kind of like
Yeah, but Loki has had like 3 movies that
right.
develop his
He was the
character.
big bad in Avengers.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
You have 3 movies to develop more than 3 movies to develop his character.
Mhm.
Zemo comes in 1 movie, and it's a refresher.
and he's just so human.
He's
and
so
grounded.
human, exactly. This can actually happen.
One thing I did like about it is that there are it shows the repercussions of these big scale events.
Yes.
Like people are losing their lives, people are losing their loved ones. I mean, obviously it's not really the Avengers' fault. They're trying to save the world, but still there are casualties in this universe. So I think that it really expounds upon that.
Yeah.
And I think that's fantastic. I think it shows a different side because you tend to forget the little guy, the people that get I guess brushed under swept under the rug.
right or left to the wayside.
And they do that with the beginning, I believe, with Tony and the parent
Yeah.
as well.
And Black Mariah. She's the
Who?
same actress that plays Black Mariah in the Luke Cage show.
She is.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, you remember in Luke Cage, we've talked about the controversial Cottonmouth death, I'm pretty sure. But remember that his sister on
Yeah.
the show, she takes over. Like, we also have the Bush. We always forget the bushwhacker, the bushmaker, the bushmaster,
Bush,
Yeah.
right? But Black Mariah, or Mariah, remember she doesn't like
Oh,
to be
the
called
sister,
Black.
the sister,
yeah, the
yeah.
sister. She's like a main villain on that show. And then the MCU is just like, yeah, we don't care. We like this actress and we're gonna cast her. And
Who
And
is
it-
she?
she's that mom whose son died because he was a missionary
Oh, it's not Viola
in
Davis.
Sokovia. That is not
Oh,
Viola
it's not
Davis.
Viola Davis. I don't know why.
So they get
You're
the same
right.
actress.
Yeah, she's the reason. Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The anecdotal experience that kind of wears on
Yeah.
Tony's conscience.
Also, what I like about this movie is that you see a little cameo from Community there. You see Jim Rash as the dean of
Oh,
the
that's
school.
right.
So I thought that was beautiful. But I think one of the most important things that we've left out is that Black Panther and Spider-Man are in this movie.
Yes. And this was illuminating at the time.
Right? Black Panther is big, you get me? But Spider-Man, having someone from another company
Yeah.
come here,
Because Sony holds the rights to the Spider-Man
yeah.
character, and we never imagined
that would actually happen, right?
Yeah.
But it
Thank
happened.
you, North Korea.
Ooh, what?
Oh, you don't know about the
Oh,
story?
because of the leaks, yeah.
Yeah. So
Seth
Sony famously bankrolled the movie The
Interview
Interview by
with-
James Franco and Seth Rogen, who was a parody of King Jong
Un? Ew.
Un.
Can we say his name?
We shouldn't say his name.
Oh, you
before
know
he
what?
hacked
I'm
us.
not trying to get.
Yeah, you know what?
You know what?
It disrespected the guy who is very
It's
misunderstood
very powerful,
by some people.
Huge
Anyways,
basketball fan.
yeah. Anyways, friends with Dennis Rodman. Anyways, so the speculation is that they were behind the Sony hack that led to critical pieces of information and entire films being linked to the internet, and they basically lost control of the Spider-Man franchise because everybody made fun
Of where they were gonna go.
of where they were gonna go. So they basically had to relent and just let Marvel take over and then them cash out while they try to expand the Spider-Man universe in their own way.
Was it like Spider-Man 4?
No, they
What
were
were some
gonna
of these
do they were
leaks?
gonna do another Amazing, but Amazing was a critical and financial
Failure.
failure. And then I just remember one I think it was Amy Pascal, who's one of the executive producers
Mhm.
for
Oh,
the
yeah, she is.
Spider-Man, and it was like an email that was going back and forth from her that it was like, oh, we have to have like EDM music because the kids are really into it, and their ideas was just basically like boomers trying to market to children.
What are the kids like these days?
Yeah, what are the kids like these
And
days?
Steve
exactly.
Buscemi.
Yeah, and then,
How's it going, fellow?
yeah. So they didn't know where they were gonna do, and we got this,
So
thankfully.
thank you,
Yeah.
Seth Rogen and James Franco.
And they didn't even know if they were gonna get Spider-Man, Marvel. So I think it was Ant-Man who was supposed to be in Iron Man's team in that spot,
Mm-hmm.
and then it would have been like Agent 13 on Cap's team in the other spot. So she unfortunately didn't get to be part of any team,
I think it worked out for the best.
and even for her because she'll get a spotlight later on.
But I really did enjoy Spider-Man, and like I saw him in the trailer, and I'm like, oh my god,
He shouldn't have been in the trailer, man.
what? Nah,
No,
that part
nah.
I think it's because I can agree with you, but then thinking about it, I think me and George talked about it earlier. You kind of Sony wants to sell that
Yeah, if
character,
you
right?
have a big gun, you show it. Because also, I don't think that Winter Soldier and First Avenger lit the world on fire. I mean, obviously they were hugely successful films, but they weren't Avengers level. If you make an Avengers level movie, yeah, Spider-Man sold it. If anyone, that was all anybody was talking about. And you bring them in with that, but you had so much more to
I
show.
don't know, man. Because me, I don't like watching trailers.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like by putting them, you could have had such an epic moment. But I do agree with you.
You don't think that was gonna leak though? You're gonna know that.
You would have
Spider-Man's in the
leaked
movie.
eventually, yeah, but
No.
don't show it.
You wouldn't if you know Sony came into an agreement. Like we knew Spider-Man was gonna come to the Marvel universe by that time, so
I guess you're right.
you're gonna sell the movie because
I still wouldn't have done it. But
it was beautiful.
you know he's gonna be there. Just don't show it. Save it. That's me, who doesn't like trailers.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of with you on it, but
you're right. They had it's.
I loved it.
yeah.
It was
Plus, you get way more than you think. Because I thought, man, he's gonna show up for like a hot
a second
minute.
minute,
But you get like not an origin, but a
That-
reintroduction to the character.
Yeah.
And the same thing with Black Panther. It's almost like Black Panther's origin is in this movie.
Yeah.
And you're already sold on Black Panther when the Black Panther movie comes out, which is kind of a reversal of what the plan or
What
the
they've been
outline
doing,
was
yeah.
before. Yeah. It was like, let's sell the character first, and then we'll get them into the other movie. That's why Black Panther was such a critical and financial hit.
Was he in the trailer?
Yeah, I think he was.
Yeah, because we
Sure.
knew he was going to be in
Yeah, we knew he was gonna be.
I can't remember.
Yeah,
I
we
mean, I
knew.
can't remember. off the
No,
top of
no,
my-
he was in
we
the
knew.
trailer because my friend and I, we were excited to watch Black Panther.
Yeah. Well, I
See
follow.
Black Panther.
I follow this stuff, so it's hard to remember what was in the marketing and what I knew, was gonna happen.
Yeah.
You see, when I'm actually like watching, I kind of forget if it's really captivating, I forget like things that I saw in the trailer, like, oh, this is supposed to happen. I'm kind of just so captivated by what's happening on the screen that it's like it kind of does take me by surprise, even though I've seen the trailer.
Yeah.
And I think Marvel's gotten really good with that, I guess, moving forward with like having things in the trailer and then taking them out that are not really there.
Yeah. Which you might think would be a bad strategy, but we appreciate it, Marvel. Keep up the good work. So we go from that to a new chapter, Doctor Strange. We've been talking about hot takes the past couple episodes. I don't know if this is one. Doctor Strange is my favorite of this phase.
I think it was okay.
What?
Yeah.
You just think Doctor Strange is
I
okay?
think it was okay. Yeah.
What could possibly be your reason for thinking that? When was the last time you've seen Doctor Strange?
When did Endgame come out? 2018? 19?
Yeah.
19.
That's the last time I watched it.
That was
I
like
remember I watched them all in chronological order.
2 years after it came out. So
Yeah. I watched it twice so far.
what about you, Gabe?
It's probably not so high on my list like you,
Yeah.
but it's definitely not as low on my
I mean,
list
it's not
as
low on the
Link.
list, but
You said it was okay.
that's
dude.
okay. I put
That
it in the
was-
middle.
I think it's great.
No, I think it's great.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Oh, I love it.
Benedict Cumberbatch is an amazing choice for Doctor Strange,
I feel
and
like his
just
eyes are too far apart.
oh what? Okay, we were talking about how we get surprised by some of these castings. Last episode we talked about getting Anthony Hopkins, getting Robert Redford, right?
Michael Douglas.
And every once in a while, that still happens. That's how I felt with Doctor Strange. And maybe it's biased, but I think Benedict Cumberbatch is amazing.
Oh, no.
I love his theater work. I love his work on Sherlock. I love his movies. And getting him as a consistent member of the Avengers, I'm here for it.
I don't know. Apparently his eyes are too far apart.
Yeah, or he looks like an otter. I remember that was a meme for a long time when he became famous. It was like pictures of otters that look like Benedict Cumberbatch. So if you want to Google that.
Have you seen those cats that look like Adam Driver?
No.
There's-
Okay.
There's a whole subreddit on that.
All right.
Follow.
I'm sure there's a Benedict Cumberbatch otter subreddit too. So we'll just swap subreddits after this episode.
Okay, so what did you like about Doctor Strange?
Okay. What Link said about Guardians of the Galaxy, that is what I felt about Doctor Strange. It was like Link thought Guardians is the perfect, fresh, isolated comedy film. This is the perfect, fresh, isolated, spiritual themed narrative. It's about existentialism. It's about purpose and life. It's about fulfilling, your value, finding your worth, and it's about what life is about. I think we talk about on this show the driving force, the MacGuffin that moves us through the narrative of our life, and this is literally about the narrative of all our lives. Like, it's through the spectrum of an almost Eastern, pseudo Buddhistic, sorcerer
Yeah.
belief system, but it's about believing in something. It's about finding value in something outside of yourself and in something larger and greater than just the finite life that you have here on Earth, which I think is super profound, especially for a Marvel movie especially after celebrating like 16 heroes punching each other in the face for a good reason. But that and visually, I think it's stunning. I think the visuals are like Inception level. I think when they go through, when they fall down like a rabbit hole, when he first experiences that encounter with the Ancient One and just the visual rhetoric that composes that kind of like almost magical acid trip,
Yeah.
it's like, wow. Cities folding in on itself, the fingers in the hands and the fingers in the hand, just like traveling through time and space. I saw this in IMAX 3D, which was like really big at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I saw this at home in 3D because like your brother Link bought a big screen 3D TV, and so I bought Doctor Strange, and I was like, we're watching this movie. Everything about it, I think it's beautiful. I think it's beautifully directed. I think it sets up for the future for stuff we're still waiting to pay off. But I just think it's great. And before I like go on a huge rant about it, the other thing is too, I don't even like Doctor Strange. At least I didn't before this movie. Doctor Strange to me was this annoying character that pops up in Spider-Man comic books, and then he fights Dormammu, which is like literally the most annoying villain for me growing up reading comic books. So I was not excited about exploring this.
Why was he annoying?
He's annoying because like Doctor Strange and magic and sorcery and like a pseudo demon in a pocket dimension is so not Spider-Man to me
Yeah.
that it feels completely off the mark. And it always felt pigeonholed in. And there's like a famous Spider-Man run by Straczynski that loves to keep going back to those type of stories, even though in between it's like redefining the Spider-Man character. So it makes itself a central reading, and it's just bogged down with these kind of things. And I was just tired of Doctor Strange and Spider-Man team-ups all the time. And like Ultimate Marvel team-up or in regular Marvel team-up.
Get ready for another team up.
Which one?
Spider-Man and Doctor Strange. In the new movie.
Is that's happening?
Oh, he hasn't watched the trailers, man.
There's no trailer for that movie. Oh
What?
yeah.
What are you talking about?
I'm already thinking about the next Doctor Strange movie because I don't know if I've established this. Doctor Strange is my favorite movie in this phase.
Yeah,
I'm already seeing beyond Spider-Man. Bring me but Doctor Strange too. No, but back to the point is, I think this movie's great. I think this movie's terrific.
Mads Mikkelsen.
Man, you really have it up there.
Yeah, it redefined the Doctor Strange character.
I mean, I feel like,
Listen. If Tony Stark is Robert Downey Jr., Doctor Strange, Stephen Strange is not Benedict Cumberbatch.
That's what I was
Yeah, it
gonna
makes
say.
sense.
So then, what did you think was all right about it, Link?
I just don't like magic.
But even that, the way they contextualize magic,
Or illusions.
the way they contextualize magic, like with the rings that create the portals, and that like magic is something between science and biology. It's what we don't understand, because Thor does this too. Like Thor, they're quote unquote gods, but they're really an alien race that humans see as gods. Ancient civilizations look up to them, and their magic is just technology that we haven't discovered yet. It contextualizes magic as not some kind of like, yes, it's mystical because we don't understand it, but in a way that like it's up to your interpretation. The science of today was magic like 200, 2,000 years ago. So the magic of today may be part of our everyday life, a century or a millennia in the future. I even love that. It explains magic and grounds it in this universe.
Why don't you put it in your top fives?
We didn't do an MCU top 5, did we?
No, you could
No.
put it.
I think it might be in my
But I
MCU
think-
top 5. I might be talking my way into it.
You're talking your way out of me.
You need to watch Doctor Strange again.
I've watched it twice. I probably have to rewatch it again.
Yeah. Well, you'll definitely watch it again before the multiverse of
Yeah, I have
madness,
to watch
man.
it. You're right. You have to watch it again. Might even have to watch it again before.
Yeah.
Whatever the new Spider-Man home is called.
That's also true. Spider-Man home. Spider-Man homies. Okay, so I think I've gone extensively into Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
I think you've covered it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I can have a better explanation than that.
Yeah, mine was it's okay.
All right, so I'm gonna lay back a little bit while we explore Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 by James Gunn, the sequel to Link's favorite movie, Last Phase.
Yes, we come back to Guardians. I love this movie as well. I love the jokes. I love the comedy. I feel like it does not miss a beat. The comedy does not miss a beat. It, in my opinion, is as funny as Guardians 1.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I remember more jokes from this movie.
Really?
Yeah, than Guardians. I don't think it's as good as Guardians 1.
Okay.
I'm not a fan of the ego stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but I enjoyed the movie. I really.
I think you loved this movie when it came out. Right? I think
I
we all
love
did, actually.
no. I love this movie.
Yeah.
It's not as good as 1, but I still love it.
Okay.
And because of ego, it does have it creates implications for other I don't know what they call it, franchises like the Eternals.
Uh-huh.
So which we don't see at the moment. We don't see payoff until like what, years later?
Okay.
Until now.
Until now, we
Yeah.
didn't know it was gonna go there.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I love this movie. Baby Groot, adorable. It was
Yeah,
like,
that's
it was,
actually genius.
yeah. This is like this is like before Baby Yoda.
Like Baby Groot walked
What?
so that Baby Yoda could run.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when the Baby Yoda meme started coming out, people were tweeting like I would throw Baby Groot into a fire to keep Baby Yoda warm.
Ooh.
And that for me was like kind of like, oh, people were replacing
Ooh.
the cute little
Wow,
icon.
fickle.
Yeah, that's
For
true.
real.
That's, as a great man once said. I had a dancing Baby Groot on my table.
It's beautiful.
There's very little pieces of like merchandise to me are must own right away, but I was like, I need a Baby
Yeah.
Groot.
I think that the music was really memorable for me
yeah,
in
for
this
sure.
one. I love the music in
Love
this
the
one.
music, yeah.
I think sometimes we sleep on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, the soundtrack.
It's as good, man.
I think it's better.
I
I honestly
agree.
think there's.
I
there's-
agree.
I don't think it's as cool or as like, I don't know, upbeat, but it hits me to my
Yeah.
core. There's songs that like I connect with.
I love that song they play when Yondu's whistling and just killing everyone with his air. I don't know what it is. It's come a little bit closer, you're my type of
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah,
So
because
big
it's
and so
because you know
strong.
what? That's beautiful directing. That's the juxtaposition
Yes.
of the melody and the tone of the song with what you're seeing on
Yes.
People
screen.
getting murdered
Oh.
and falling and
And I love that James Gunn does that. He kind of reminds me of Tarantino when
I could see
in
that.
his movie
I
making.
mean he
because,
does. Go ahead.
because yeah, like Tarantino, he's great with putting music and adding an image, a movie to it. So I just love James. I love it. Yeah, the movie's great.
I think from the jump when they have the battle with that giant alien monster
Right?
and you just have Baby Groot
Yes,
just like running.
that intro
it's,
is-
it's beautiful.
Sun is shining. That one.
Yeah.
And it honestly, yeah, Mr. Blue Sky.
Mr.
Mr.
Blue
Blue
Sky.
And it honestly makes me fall in love with all those
Yeah.
songs. Like I didn't know some of them, and it recontextualized others that maybe I didn't. Like Lakeshore Drive, for example.
the Cat
and-
Stevens song at the end.
Oh,
with the-
I mean that's what I put on when I'm depressed.
oh yeah, I put Frank Ocean.
I put the Father and Son, right? That's the
Mm.
one. It's like it just hits me to
Yeah.
my core.
Also, Yondu's death really got me.
I'm Mary Poppins,
I'm Mary
y'all.
Poppins.
You know,
Yo.
and that's true because we forget. It's funny because
I love
we
that
look
line.
at the series as a whole, and you forget when these moments take place.
Yeah.
Because you're like, yeah, man, the ego stuff was too big or whatever. But like, we wouldn't have Yondu's death. That the Ravager funeral. It's a beautiful moment.
Beautiful, yeah.
Also, the introduction of Mantis.
Yeah.
Like she's a full-fledged Guardian now, and it's like, yeah, that happens in Guardians too. She's not on the team in Guardians
Yeah.
1.
Mm.
Annette Nebula, she
She
ends
becomes she
right. She
Well,
ends the
you know.
first movie as a villain, and you're like, oh, she's gonna come back. I didn't expect, again, the babyface turn. That she's a hero.
Yeah, and
now.
it works more in their relationship with Gamora.
I love that whole David Hasselhoff metaphor that he's trying to
Oh,
explain.
that's such
the
a good-
way Gamora words it, I forgot the way he says it.
I love those. I love the
Those-
subtle references that he has from
Yeah.
from his childhood and
Yeah.
everything.
You guys have seen the music video, right, for the title song, the Guardians Inferno. Have you seen that?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Probably, but I don't
with
remember
David
it.
Hasselhoff. He sings
Oh, I
the
haven't,
song,
no.
and then the whole cast are background dancers.
Mm.
You haven't seen this?
I
No,
probably have. I
haven't.
think I have, but I
Okay.
haven't. I don't
If
remember.
anyone at home has not seen
I
this,
gotta check that out.
yeah, on YouTube, Guardians Inferno. It's an excellent piece of
I gotta check it out.
of video and audio. So you love Guardians Volume 2? We saw this a bunch too. This is one of those ones where like
well,
this. You go ahead.
yeah, I watched this movie with Gabriel.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
Is it
Chattanooga.
in Chattanooga? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and I watched it with a
Mm.
girl who I was trying to get with, but then she had a boyfriend, and I'm like, I had already I found out she had a boyfriend after I already invited her to this.
Okay.
So I needed
of
like a
course,
buffer. Layla again, once again Layla.
Oh wow, that's another shout out.
Another shout out Layla. But I'm like, all right, Gabriel, I need you here because I don't know how to get out of this commitment. I don't know how to say no, and it's gonna be awkward.
This was like my 4th time watching that movie. I'm pretty
Yes,
sure.
it was. It was like my
What?
third. It was my third time watching
This
it.
Yeah,
was what
so-
day? This was on what day?
This was okay. The movie came out May 5th, the day before my birthday.
Mhm.
I graduated May 7th. We watched it May 8th.
When did I watch it?
You watched it with us on my birthday at
On
night.
The 7th. Okay.
No, the 6th.
The 6th.
I'm sorry. Yeah, the 6th.
Okay.
Saturday night. Because you guys were traveling
Okay.
to come for my graduation, and Gabriel and I just watched it.
We saw it. Then we saw it with
With
you,
you.
and then I was in that awkward.
And then you saw
Yeah,
it
he
again
was in my-
as the
my-
buffer.
as a buffer,
the
yeah.
wingman. No, reverse wingman.
The reverse wingman,
Yeah.
yeah.
Reverse wingman sounds like something inappropriate. Okay. We love Guardians 2. Oh, although there was that cycle to me with Iron Man 2 where like I watched Guardians 2 so much that I started to think maybe there's things I don't like in Guardians 2.
Yes, and for me, the part with ego, I was like,
Yeah, exactly. You're like, there's the things I love about Guardians 2, I love them even more the third or fourth time. But then also the things that are not as strong,
I don't like
they
it
grate
as
on me.
yeah.
Right. They're like, well, I don't care about these parts.
Yeah.
And you really realize that. But then I come back around and I really love the movie.
Yeah.
That ego is a planet. That ego has powers.
I think it's that ego is a planet. And I think that Peter gets powers equivalent to ego, so he becomes a giant Pac-Man monster. Like that final battle is really weird. Like, and he sets it up right. He's like, I'm gonna make some weird stuff, right? But it's really weird. Like if grounded is always like my wheelhouse, it doesn't get less grounded than the final battle.
That's your I don't like magic statement.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
But talking about big actors, the guy that plays Ego, what's his name?
Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell,
Yeah, it's another
yeah.
big actor they got.
Oh, and this is, I don't know if they had done it before, but this is a big CGI job where they make him
Look
younger.
younger, yeah.
Is this the first time?
No, didn't
Ant-
they do it
Ant-Man.
for Ant-Man, and then didn't they do it for? I was gonna say Robert Redford. I don't know why.
No, Robert Redford was old the whole time.
Did it for-
He still looks great though.
They did it for someone.
That's what
Maybe
you're
it is
thinking
Ant-Man,
about, how
maybe-
handsome he is.
It's
Even
Michael
at his
Douglas
age.
and Ant-Man.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Michael Douglas and Ant-Man. So they do it again. I think for longer, maybe, or I don't, because the scene in
Scene short.
Ant-Man is
Yeah.
like really short. But yeah, they start mastering this. Like,
Yeah.
just wow, I can barely tell. Like, if I really look for it, sure, it's CG. But man, Kurt Russell looks like Snake Plissken. You know, maybe even younger.
I was also really mad at Marvel. I love this movie. Movie came out.
Yeah.
Then they kicked out James Gunn.
Yeah. Did this
Right.
happen? No, this happened like way after though. No.
Maybe I'm not sure when, but they kicked. They fired him
Right.
from Guardians 3,
Mhm.
and I was mad
Yeah.
at that because I was on team James Gunn.
Yeah.
I mean, because I like the guy. I like.
Right.
I mean, what he said in the past. His tweets he made in the past, terrible, right?
Yeah.
But I like his work, and I like what he's.
You didn't think it was worth like.
I didn't think it was worth it. Plus, it
We're
was
in
it
this
was
film
all marketing
franchise
because
'cause of-
you know what, we're gonna fire you. All right, you're gonna fire me. I'm gonna go somewhere where I'm wanted,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna make a movie there. That's literally the Marvel version of the DC version of Guardians.
Yeah.
And
Not
then
wanted.
not one, but then they're gonna come back. But then you're gonna ask me to come back. Like,
Right.
did I learn my lesson?
Well, okay, so I understand from a business standpoint why they did it. It's also like you don't really care. And
They
it's
don't.
so just,
they don't
right?
really care. They probably knew.
But they were in a huge negotiation with Fox, which was basically the end of the world for, entertainment and media. So like if James Gunn had to be fired for a little while so that we can get Fox or what is now 20th Century Films under the umbrella of Disney and unify this Marvel universe and get a new hope back for the Star Wars films, then James Gunn, if he dies, he dies. I'm sorry.
All right.
We'll do it for the optics. And then once we have all the power,
We'll
The-
hire you back.
The fact that I had heard word that they would do something like that and they ended up actually doing it,
Yeah.
it kind of makes me feel like, I mean, we got a good movie out of it, right? We
Yeah.
got Suicide
You got
Squad.
Suicide Squad.
So I feel no harm, no foul.
Yeah.
Spider-Man Homecoming is the next chapter
Oh yeah.
in Phase 3. And I don't know if we talked about this already. I don't think so. Phase 3 is incredibly long.
It's like 11 movies.
Yeah, it's as long as like Phase 1 and 2
Two
yeah,
combined.
it's like
Yeah.
two. That's basically
Yeah.
two.
So they're in a rhythm here. Plus, they got the Spider-Man movies that they have to contractually made for Sony. So it's like they gotta pigeonhole these in their own timeline. Not that they are, calling it in or anything like that. Spider-Man: Homecoming is an amazing movie.
Yeah, and I think that this is like to piggyback off of them having the ball rolling. This is the first time that we get 3 Marvel movies in a year,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They're on the roll.
and it's just like we're not stopping. Like what we've been kind of like laying the groundwork for.
Yeah.
we're starting to.
We got the hang of it now.
Yeah, exactly. We worked out the kinks, and we're just gonna go full steam ahead.
And I think this is where some people start to think, okay, Marvel fatigue. You can only make so many of these movies, and we're gonna get tired. That's not where I'm at
You
this
really
point.
thought.
Because the next movie, like, you're right. There's going to be fatigue. There should be fatigue, right?
Mhm.
But I feel like the movies that come after are just so different compared to the.
Yeah, I mean,
We'll talk about this later, but yeah.
yeah, even up to this point, like Civil War, Doctor Strange, Guardians 2,
They're all
Spider-Man:
different.
Homecoming.
They're all different.
This movie is John Watts as director, and it's a love letter to the John Hughes films
Yeah.
of the 1980s, the like high school romance, coming of age.
Yeah. This movie was so at this point when this movie comes out, I graduated. I moved to California for a job. And this is the first Marvel movie that I watched by myself without my friends because I don't have any friends in California. And I loved it. I was like, oh, no, I didn't love the experience because I love watching movies with you guys, especially.
Mhm.
I got used to watching Marvel movies with Gabriel.
Yeah.
And I was heartbroken that I couldn't do it. But man, this movie's great. This movie, like you said, it's a love story to John Hughes. And man, Zendaya. Freaking love Zendaya.
Zendaya, if you're listening.
Holla at your boy.
Okay, never mind. Stop listening.
If you're listening, Zendaya.
Just stop.
Bing bong.
Stop listening.
I just love how we went from the event of Civil War
Mm-hmm.
to magic and sorcery
Yeah.
and strange to
Space.
intergalactic
Yeah.
fighting planets
Mm-hmm.
to a kid in Queens going to high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's-
And it's such a personal story.
Yeah.
Like the Vulture and the Liz Allen stuff.
Dude, that
Reveal.
that reveal, oh man, that shook me. I was like, oh, I was not expecting this at all. And it really, I don't know, because I don't know, when I feel like I've watched enough films and watched enough movies
Yeah.
and TV that
You're good at predicting what's
you,
gonna happen.
yeah, you can kind of
Yeah,
like,
to the point where like
It
Gabriel
ruins it,
sometimes
ruins
ruins movies
movies,
because
yeah.
he's like
Sorry,
he's
dude.
not spoiling, but like he's guessing them.
I
and
talk out loud and
Yeah.
sometimes they tend to be
He
right.
has a good like 7 out of 10, and sometimes he's just throwing them out, so he'll hit it no matter what. Like
It's just rapid fire.
yeah,
But I did not see that one coming at all. And honestly, it's something that I want to like improve upon.
Yeah.
because the experience of not really knowing.
actually being shook.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's, I don't know. Like I feel like I pride myself in predicting.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it takes away an element of surprise, some of
Yeah.
the fun that the director and the movie makers wanted for you to feel.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. I think they went so against type of our expectations. I think first of all, Michael Keaton as Vulture.
Back to the, if you play one superhero,
Uh-huh.
jumping over,
Yeah.
and it's okay if you do it because it makes different company. But
Right.
you're Batman.
Okay, no, but come on, man. There's decades.
There
of
is
time.
decades.
In
but,
89 and 92,
but there is
he was Batman.
But who is your Batman?
I mean, it's Tim Burton. Yeah. I mean, it's Tim Burton. Yeah.
It's Michael Keaton.
It's Tim Burton's Batman. Michael
Exactly.
Keaton.
Gabriel, who's
yeah.
your Batman?
Christian Bale.
Exactly. It's like you're jumping ship. You can't do that, but
But we're so far,
Yeah.
like, removed from.
You-
which,
you-
ironically, now we're not.
Yeah.
But
actually, I love the fact that he's at least in this movie
Yeah.
because before Birdman,
mhm.
he wasn't doing much.
Right.
You know, I feel like because of Birdman, which
He became another Birdman.
well, yeah, which might be the prequel to this
What are
movie.
you talking about, man? He was in
The other guys.
yeah, the other guys.
But yeah, he wasn't in. I whatever. Like what happened to Michael Keaton? Like he just stopped, right?
Yeah.
He does Birdman. You know, critical acclaim.
Yeah.
He Oscar nominee. I don't know if he wins an Oscar, but he's nominated for an Oscar.
Right.
And now we get it. Now he's back here.
Yeah. And he's old, so he can be Vulture, but he's not as old as I would expect Vulture
Yeah.
to be. So you're already like, okay, you're gonna throw curveballs, and I'm here for it, you know.
Mhm. But where's he gonna go afterwards now?
Where Vulture?
No. Michael Keaton.
He's gonna go back to Batman,
Exactly.
but he's also gonna go back to Vulture. He's
You can't do that.
He's a daywalker.
You
man.
can't do
he
that.
He walks between two worlds.
You can't do
So
that.
how do you feel about like people that are
It's
in the
illegal.
MCU and then they get another role in the MCU?
Like I said, I don't like that. Remember,
You didn't even remember that Black Mariah and Luke Cage. was
Alfred
the same.
Woodward.
I don't like that.
Woodard.
I mean, the exception to this rule, well, there's two exceptions. One of them, Chris Evans, I got you, so you get me, and I love Chris Evans as Captain America. But the other exception to this rule is Mahershala Ali.
Yeah.
Because he is Cottonmouth, and he's the best part of that show, and now he's going to be Blade.
Okay.
And I can't complain.
So I guess we just have to cut out Luke Cage like it didn't like it's not part of the Marvel. It's not part of the MCU. I at this point, Luke Cage is specifically being targeted.
Yeah, could be.
The casting choices in Luke Cage.
But yeah, I love Michael Keaton in this movie. This movie's great.
Tom Holland.
Tom Holland, he
Tom Holland's infectious.
Who was your favorite Spider-Man?
My favorite Spider-Man is Tom Holland.
What about you? Same. What about you?
And I love all the Spider-Man movies, okay, but I love this iteration because for me, I love Spider-Man as a kid from Queens. You know, I also like adult, like teacher, science teacher, Spidey, but we didn't get that with any of the other, you know.
But because, wait, who's your favorite Spider-Man, Gabriel?
Tom.
Okay.
Okay.
I thought you were gonna go for.
He
a hot
paused
take there.
so
Yeah.
dramatically. I thought it
Yeah.
would be Andrew Garfield.
Andrew Garfield, which isn't bad because he.
I think he's a great
think he's a-
Spider
okay.
Spider-Man.
All right, we're gonna use this like cliche. Oh, again, he walked so that Tom Holland could, because I think he was closer, but he was still like 40 years old.
But I feel like okay, so you've gotten Tom Holland, and you're probably gonna have him for 3 more movies.
Yeah,
We're growing with Tom Holland. We're getting old with Tom Holland.
Yeah, we might actually
get
like science
teacher Tom Holland.
Yeah.
You know, probably divorces MJ, Tom Holland,
Okay,
Peter Parker.
no, I don't want that.
I don't want that, but you never know where this is going to go.
I mean, they
But,
do
you know-
Mephisto. You know what? Marvel will do it, and I love
Which-
it. Maybe
Which
Mephisto's
we are
another one.
getting
getting-
more of him, you know, right?
Yeah, we were gonna get
3 more movies of
3
it.
more now.
We're getting
yeah.
a show and 3 more movies.
Exactly.
How many? Okay, at this point,
A movie? A show? I did not know we were getting a show.
Animated though.
Oh, okay.
okay, at this
Not bad.
point,
I love anime.
so he
Animation.
appears in Civil War, right? That's 2016.
He's Civil War. He appears here.
All right,
Homecoming.
it's 2021 now. I finally have caught up to where we live, the year that we live in.
He's in Homecoming.
So Tom Holland has been Spider-Man for about 5 years, right?
Mhm.
Which I think is less time than Tobey Maguire, because I think there's 6
but
in
he's
between
been
the first
and
and third.
more Spider-Man
And yeah,
movies.
and I think it's been
And
more
both of
than
them combined.
Andrew Garfield now, but like up until Infinity War, he's been in more movies. He's been Spider-Man in more movies than like Garfield and Maguire combined. He's Spider-Man now, and I know this is like a contentious topic because kids to this day come up and tell me, and they're like, "No, Tobey Maguire is my Spider-Man."
Kids like your students tell you
Yeah,
that?
they love
Tobey
those
Maguire
movies.
is your Spider-Man?
Yeah, those Spider, and the thing is,
Not,
to defend Sam Raimi and those films, they hold up.
For
1
sure.
and 2 hold up real good. I just don't get it. I just
2
don't-
is Spider-Man 2 is the best
yeah.
Spider-Man movie, right?
Spider-Man. Ooh, Into the Spider-Verse.
Spider-Man 2, the extended cut, might be one of the greatest. Maybe not the greatest, but one of the greatest superhero movies of all time. It's up there for me. Batman 89, Superman, the original Superman, Richard Donner. Yeah, it's up there. Spider-Man 2.1 is
It's just like a hallmark of those heroes.
yeah.
I do think that Into the Spider-Verse is my favorite Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, but it's also like, and I love it, but it's like off kilter Spider-Man because it's not,
Yeah, I just like that movie so much.
It'd be like if they made a Batman Beyond movie. You're not gonna be like, oh, Batman Beyond is my favorite Batman movie because it's not really, it's not really Batman. It's a Batman.
Batman movie. Boom.
Yeah.
You gave me Nick Miller as Peter Parker. I'm in heaven.
Okay, so we love Spider-Man: Homecoming, and we're getting to a point. I see a trend developing. Phase 3 is uber strong.
Yeah.
It comes out. It's a 1,
It comes
2,
in hot.
3, 4 punch
And hard.
combo. And the next movie, in my opinion, is even better than the ones we just talked about.
Yeah.
Thor Ragnarok, November 3rd, 2017. Taika Waititi.
This is my favorite Marvel movie. I love this movie so much.
That's wow. Okay.
I know earlier I talked about like the combinations of genres and styles,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like this movie personifies that because you get Taika Waititi, right?
Yeah.
At this moment when you get him, you don't really know much about him. He's done a lot of more indie stuff, but you get him and his style of comedy, that New Zealand style, Flight of the Conchords style of comedy, right? And
Yeah.
you combine it with Marvel, and you produce this beautiful baby called Thor Ragnarok, and I love that.
I feel like, yeah, especially like Link. I feel like Link has been a huge Flight of the Conchords fan,
Yeah.
and that type of humor. And I think that Thor Ragnarok was kind of showing to the world that type of humor.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And so like everyone kind of see
like Korg.
exactly. Everyone can kind of see like what Link enjoys about
Yeah.
that type
And
of
it's like
stuff.
a gateway drug too, because if you couldn't get someone to watch Flight of the Conchords or What We Do in the Shadows, you can be like, "Hey, Thor Ragnarok, you know this movie?"
You thought this
You
was
like
good?
this movie
Go check
good?
this out.
Bro, watch this movie.
Yeah.
And the other thing too is like, I see this movie and I'm like, oh, it reminds me of what could have been
Mm-hmm.
Ant-Man with Edgar Wright.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just the funniest Marvel movie, right?
This is a funny.
I think so. Yeah.
too.
Because I love Marvel movies and they are funny, but sometimes they're like, haha, funny. Like, this is smart funny.
This is
This is, and like just so self-deprecating and doesn't take itself seriously. You see Thor and Hulk in situations that you don't expect to see Thor
Yeah.
and Hulk, and they slip. And I complained earlier in the series about Banner slipping on a banana peel. It works in this movie.
Yeah.
This is the movie that sells Mark Ruffalo
I agree.
as the Hulk, because I was like, okay, this is a completely different take on Bruce Banner, and I'm here for it. I'm here for Taika Waititi's,
Yes.
Bruce Banner. It's like, I always remember like at the end of Avengers where you see like Mark Ruffalo like with a Bunsen burner, like scolding, the shadowy silhouette. That I don't buy it as much. And maybe it's because I'm holding up to a standard that I've seen other people depict. But this one, like where he's wearing Tony's shirt and where Hulk is like the butt of jokes, like Hulk's butt and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unexpected.
And I really think that Chris Hemsworth gets to shine in
Yeah.
this one.
Oh yeah.
This is the movie that because I told you, like, he was my favorite Avenger,
Uh-huh.
Thor, right? But this is a movie where I appreciated Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
Because he shines. You see his comedy, which is something we've never seen. We know
Yeah.
he's funny, he has these funny lines, because
Exactly.
Marvel movies are funny.
Uh-huh.
But it's the next level right here.
Strongest Avenger.
That's right.
And he, like, we know he's an Adonis, right? He's an amazing physical specimen, but he's kind of just, standing around saying lines before.
Yeah.
And also with Thor the Dark World, I think a lot of people were like, I don't really know how I feel about the Thor
Mhm.
character in the direction. His, like, kind of weird role to set up in Age of Ultron. And here it's like, they needed a revamp, and they got a
to
revamp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I believe some of the lines, like, they improvise some of this stuff.
Really?
Like they use, like, they Taika gave Chris Hemsworth the freedom to be funny, be you.
That's really surprising with how
Which we
high
did-
stakes these movies
Which
are.
were high stakes, right?
Yeah.
And which we also didn't know he could do.
Have you guys seen the deleted scenes for this movie?
I have not.
They're on Disney Plus,
Oh,
so you
yeah?
can check them out. I rewatched them. I had forgotten about them. I rewatched them in my last rewatch, and there's some stuff there that is so funny because they'll just riff and they'll go off on a tangent.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, bro, how did they just sit there recording? And then there's some jokes, especially on what's the villain's name? Which we haven't even
The
talked
master.
about.
Oh yeah,
the
Jeff
master.
Gold. You got
Jeff
Jeff
Goldblum.
Goldblum.
Wow.
What's his name though?
Grandmaster.
The
The
Grandmaster. But you
Grandmaster.
got Jeff Goldblum.
So the master is a Doctor Who accidental reference. So the Grandmaster's ship, the things that go on in that ship, there are some deleted scenes that I was like, this would have never made it in the movie. This is too
I gotta watch
risque.
it.
Yeah, you gotta watch it.
It's some of the riff between
Stuff
Thor,
gets weird.
Thor and Korg, because I feel like Taika and
You know what?
and
Just
Hemsworth.
watch them. Okay, I just know that Jeff Goldblum has some.
Oh, you can
Well, he
tell
just
Jeff
yeah.
Goldblum. Yeah.
But going back to the Chris Hemsworth part, I don't know. Like for me, like because like Thor 1 and Thor 2, they weren't as strong.
Yeah.
Right? Like they're not bad movies, but I don't think they were as strong as the other ones. And part of it is kind of like the lead. Like I think Thor shines in like Avengers in the movies, like where he's with other people.
Exactly,
Like,
has someone to play
characters.
off of, right?
Yeah.
And so I thought it was just very refreshing.
Yeah.
Because this character is a god. He comes from a different like realm, and there's so much like he's like it's so serious, so much weight to the character. But they really like they cut his hair.
Yeah,
they take so many changes.
it grounds him and it humanizes him.
He loses an eye.
Yeah,
and as I was reading earlier, Taika wanted to strip him down so that by the end of the film, he's a refugee like the rest of his
Right.
people, leading up to the next film.
we just talked about the grandmas. We didn't even talk about the great.
Kate Blanchett.
Yeah,
Kate Blanchett.
Exactly.
she's amazing. Again, I'm surprised they could get her. You know what I mean? It's another one where I was like, Kate Blanchett's doing a Marvel movie.
You got Galadriel.
Yeah, these are
And,
real.
and I don't know why we're still so surprised
Yeah.
every time.
Yeah,
They get so many big hitters, and it's like I think it's a testament. Like obviously you have a lot of the stuff going on
not if
nowadays.
you ask some directors in Hollywood.
That's what I mean. You have a lot of this going on nowadays about superheroes and the differing opinions about these
Some
movies.
directors, like I know Scorsese has been critical. Who else has been critical?
The guy we were talking about, the House of Gucci guy.
Ridley Scott.
Ridley
Ridley
Scott.
Scott finds them boring, and he doesn't approve of the Marvel movie method.
Who was the other one? Normal person.
What about the Hurt Locker? Was it? I know James Cameron's been critical in the past. I know he's kind of been like, on
James
good terms
Cameron's
with it.
been critical.
I think he's made
Mr.
comments.
Avatar.
Avatar?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yes. I think I don't know. I think
Get
it
out
was,
of here, James Cameron. You're not welcome.
Okay.
Everyone is welcome.
Except you. We accept your ex. Oh no, his ex.
Give up your seat to Zendaya. Yeah. So I don't understand how this is still a conversation that's going on. Like great genre films with great writers, directors, and amazing actors. How is this?
Yeah.
This is an incredible achievement. Unparalleled. It has never been done before, and it might never be done again.
Yeah.
The scope of this is so big, and it just continues on with the next chapter. One of the most anticipated films, Black Panther. Why do you think this film was so important?
Culturally, what it does to the African American community, it gives them a hero. You get me? As a community, okay. So besides what's his name, I want to say War Machine. That's not War Machine.
Yeah, War Machine.
Yeah, War
Are you
Machine.
talking about like African American characters?
Yeah.
that
Okay. So
kinda
besides War
gravitate?
Machine and maybe Idris Elba as the
Okay,
the
so you got Heimdall in the
Heimdall,
Thor movies,
yeah.
played by Idris Elba. You have
War
War Machine,
Machine.
played by, as we mentioned, Terrence Howard, and
And-
then Don Cheadle. And you also have Falcon.
Falcon. Yes, you have
Sam
Falcon,
Wilson.
right? But you have like your first black. Not that it's first, but he has
Leading man.
Leading man. He
The boy's
gets
an
his own-
A-lister.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the movie's great.
And also the historical relevance.
Yeah.
The Black Panther. People always think, oh, Black Panther, it's like politically charged. Like I've heard so many people tell me like he's named after the Black Panthers. No. The Black Panthers are named after the Black Panther, all right? He is the OG. He is an icon of...
Wait, they're named after the superhero?
Yeah, the
Did not
Black
know
Panther
that.
is
What?
the inspiration for the Black
Oh,
Panthers.
I did not know that.
Yeah. The Black Panther comic plays like a pivotal role in like Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing film.
Oh wow, I did not know that.
Yeah. So the Black Panther is he's like Superman for an entire subculture.
Yeah.
And to have this movie finally be made and be a celebration of African culture
Yes.
and of
This movie's fantastic.
I'm looking for the word diaspora or I'm stuck here.
Utopia?
No. It's a diaspora, that's what it is.
Diaspora.
Diaspora.
Like an Exodus.
Okay, yeah. So for an entire group of people, a celebration not just of the African culture, but the diaspora, the lost continent, so to speak, an entire history. This is a reemergence of something that I think has been a long time coming.
I thought it was great. I thought it was beautiful.
I think this might be the best. Besides Iron Man, this might be the best solo
film
origin. Yeah.
origin.
Okay, so I had a really weird experience with this film, as we've talked about ad nauseum. We're there midnight. We're there early release. We're there pre-screenings. So we're constantly seeing these movies in a timely manner and not being spoiled. I didn't get spoiled for Black Panther, but I had a lot of stuff going on in my personal life, and this is probably the first one that I had to, for personal reasons, watch on delay, and all I was hearing was that this is like the greatest movie ever.
Yeah.
This movie was amazing, and this movie got super overhyped for me, which is why I have to, people, why is this so important? Why do you have to see so fast? Just wait for the weekend. No, because too much
Hype can ruin a movie.
Too much hype can ruin a movie. Too much information. Like if I come
and
into
the opposite as well, vice versa.
Yeah, if I'm not hearing anything, then I start to get worried. Or if I get to hear bad reviews, then I start to get worried. If my kids are freaking out the next day at school, they've already like altered my perception.
People are gonna have opinions, and some, like, whether you like to admit it or not, those opinions are gonna have some type of
Yeah, they're gonna
impact.
They're gonna taint your opinion on.
Yeah, so I want those fresh eyes, and I didn't have that for Black Panther. And I'm gonna be honest, I didn't love Black Panther the first time. The archetypal structure, we had kind of avoided it already, and I thought we had avoided it in Civil War by introducing Black Panther, but it's almost like Civil War was a prelude to Black Panther, and they go back like, oh, he's already Black Panther, but they still tell an origin story for Black Panther. So at the time, I was like, this is kind of standard fare. I don't see what the big deal about it is. But after rewatches and after going home and spending time with the film, it's all the things I just said. Like,
and after the death of
that's on another level, because
Chadwick
wow.
Boseman.
I haven't seen it since.
Yeah,
to be honest.
I can't.
I have.
go
I've
back
seen
and-
it with
I-
the new introduction. It's the Marvel scroll is all Chadwick Boseman now instead of all the other
Yeah,
characters.
I don't-
Flipping A, bro.
Yeah.
That's gonna make me cry.
I
That's
can
gonna
do
make
that
me
right
cry.
now.
What is this, Grave of the Fireflies? No.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
man.
then there's also like a little documentary that goes along with it in the special features,
Oh.
and it's heart wrenching. I'm gonna be quite honest. Yeah, you're right. I didn't even consider that aspect of it, but just as a film, I've taught this in classrooms. Like I've taken scenes and run them parallel with the novel Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe to kind of show, and just a reference point too, because it's a reference point where I can be like, yo, you see the wrestling that's going on here? You remember that fight in Black Panther? And the kids know it immediately. It describes their like garments. It's just like in Black Panther, and like the culture, the music, and everything. They have a reference point now that it's an easy sell now. A book that I used to struggle getting kids to read, it's just tangentially a reminder of Black Panther, and now like it's an easy sell.
I mean, it's incredible that the impact that a film about superheroes can have on you,
Absolutely.
on people wanting to know more about these historical events. And I think that even when this film came out, it was practically an event. Like it was huge.
It was an event, yeah.
Yeah. So
I think they picked the right person, Ryan Coogler, to
Yes.
write this.
Ryan
Yes.
Coogler, Ryan
You
Coogler's
picked
fantastic.
a perfect director for this, because you picked someone that not only understands the African American plight when he directed Fruitvale Station, but then he also, I mean, is this before or after Apollo?
this is
Creed?
after Creed. He had
This is
already
After this, he did Fruitvale Station, and he also did Creed. So this
Creed.
is his third film.
So this
Yeah.
is third film, right? You're getting, Fruitvale Station is great, Creed is great,
Yeah.
but other than that, you're taking a risk on this guy.
And
not only
we
that,
say this
you're
better.
taking a risk on this guy, but you give him a lot of power.
Yeah.
A lot of production power in this movie, and the guy hits a home run.
Yeah, because he directed and wrote both of those films,
Yeah.
Creed and Fruitvale Station. I believe that he writes it.
Fruitvale Station is an amazing
It's
movie.
another movie I can only
If anyone
watch
has
once.
it, yeah, that's true too. But if anyone hasn't seen Fruitvale Station, I highly recommend it. It's more important than anything we're talking about right now.
Probably, yeah.
And it's really, I just think it's impressive, like for his third film, and it's a pretty big one.
You get a pretty big.
It's a pretty big. comparing to where it is and what we've been like leading up to.
Yeah. Also, we're talking about hype too. All these things like
This might be the most.
the pressure to hit a home run with
This
this
is
movie.
probably the most inexperienced director they have, and he hits a home run.
As far as a body of work,
A body of
I
work,
agree.
yeah, body of work.
What
yeah.
about John Watts in Homecoming? Just
No, he's done more.
yeah.
He had done more stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, because I remember feeling really confident though, because I was like, I love Fruitvale.
I knew it was
I
gonna
love
be good.
Creed. This was
Yeah.
gonna be great.
And not only that, Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger.
Yeah, and we get that I think most likely because of Fruitvale Station,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Oh,
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh boy, but he Killmonger. I go back to Zemo. He's one of those villains that, all right, this is a believable villain. His motivations make sense.
Yeah.
I think
Almost
him
too
and
good
Zemo
to-
are
Too good to kill, to be honest with you.
Because
And I understand why he has to die, but I really wish he didn't.
because it's interesting, man.
Yeah.
So I was on TikTok the other day because I'm sad that they kill Killmonger,
Right.
right? Because now that Chadwick Boseman's dead, you
Yeah.
could have gotten Michael B. Jordan
Absolutely.
to take
That
on the
would've-
mantle,
yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, in hindsight's 2020.
Yeah.
2020, yeah, right. You would have known,
Or
right?
hindsight's 2021.
But so you're okay. So if you watch Endgame, right? We all know people come back from the blimp,
Yeah, right.
right? One of the people that you don't see that comes back, we don't know if he gets snapped, but it's a guy, the other guy from Black Panther, the one he challenges, M'Baku, I think that's his name.
M'Baku.
M'Baku, right?
Yeah.
So I was reading, I was
The
watching,
Great Gorilla.
so they were saying that okay, so we know that Black Panther and his sister
Yeah.
Shuri both get snapped.
Mm-hmm.
Who takes care of Wakanda?
I mean, that's a story that we're gonna find out.
Some
but
people
yeah.
say that
Mhm.
it was M'Baku who does it, not because out of power or greed, but out of necessity. So I'm like, oh man, I was just watching that. I saw that TikTok and I'm like, man,
But are you talking about M'Baku becoming the Black Panther?
becomes not. I'm not sure if he becomes a Black Panther, but
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
I don't think
because his like entire like worldview, his religion, his lifestyle, it's based on the Great Gorilla. So I don't think he's just gonna
Magically turn
Magically
the
into a
Panther
turn.
deity. Is
Do you
in-
think they trust Letitia? What's her name? Right?
I don't think they trust her, but I think she has to carry it for now.
I think it's what,
and I think
it's
they're gonna get
necessary.
it off
Yeah.
her by the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
this-
leave it in a place where they don't even need her to show up again to get it off her.
that was
Yeah.
an interesting.
That's something to.
I mean,
Ryan
it's-
Coogler,
it's a-
if you're listening, I feel sorry for you.
It's
Man. I don't know how
definitely
you do this.
it's definitely a hard task.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do?
Well, I know that one other theory that was floating around was now that we have this multiverse, bringing back a version of Killmonger. But I think with What If you saw What
Oh,
If,
that's one thing I haven't watched.
I think they kind of closed the door on that. To be honest with you,
I mean, they can do whatever they want.
but they can do whatever they want. Absolutely. So there's a whole lot of more story left. How they're gonna navigate the loss of the actual Black Panther, that's something I'm looking forward
Man,
to finding out.
Such a big loss. Him and Kobe, like
Another thing about
big
this movie.
losses.
Another thing about this movie is that it goes directly into Infinity War, and Infinity War makes the Black Panther so much better.
You know what's funny? You mentioned that because, like, okay, some other movies that you put in front of, like, these big Avenger movies, they kind of don't, not that they don't live up to the hype, but it's like, oof.
Yeah, like, is this a story I needed to tell right before this?
You know, for example, Captain Marvel, right before Endgame. Like, is the story, anyways, we'll talk about that later. But Black Panther, right in front of Infinity War, good, perfect transition. I think it's a great movie to have there.
Yeah. Infinity War is,
It's next.
it's the end all be all up until this point.
Yeah.
I think.
It's led to this. Everything's led to
Everything's
this.
led to this.
Yeah. It's not the greatest movie because, I mean, it's not the greatest movie of all time because it's so big. It's literally the definition of blockbuster. I would argue that it might be the greatest blockbuster of all time. We've talked about what some of our favorite movies are: Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, Ragnarok, Doctor Strange. Yes, I said Doctor Strange. Because of those character stories that we tell. But Infinity War is like all hands on deck, the coolest thing you'll ever experience. Or at least we thought in 2018. We thought it couldn't get better than Infinity War.
The Russo brothers come back with the same two directors. I mean, writers.
Yeah, Marcus and McFeely.
And I think they create this generation's Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, okay. I feel you. And it's funny because it's like the third Avengers movie, maybe the fourth Avengers movie, but it's probably the sequel to the first Avengers.
Honestly, I'm trying to find the words because leading up to Infinity War,
The hype
That
for this
think-
movie.
I mean, I actually recently just saw on Twitter, it had been 4 years since like that first trailer dropped for Infinity War, and I think that's probably my favorite trailer like of all time. Like I watched it and I'm like, I got chills. Like when Nick Fury starts talking, he's like,
and you talk about the stuff that they hid from us. They sold us a movie, but they treated us so well.
That whole scene at the end of the trailer with all them running, with Cap running through the jungle.
I knew exactly where they were going, and it's not in the movie.
And Captain America's beautiful
long
hair and
Cap
his beard.
in that movie.
Yeah.
I would watch that trailer with my students over and over again, but then I would like go back and forth to his hair just going up and down. I love that.
That trailer inspired me so much. I had, because when those movies would come out, that was towards the end of the season, end of the year, so we had our soccer championship, and I watched that trailer before the final to hype me. Like people have they listen to they have their game day music and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I watched that trailer. I was just so excited, and I don't know, it pushed me. It's my favorite trailer, and the satisfaction, but also the hurt and the pain of watching that film.
Yeah.
Because for the most part, you've all these movies have been pretty they ended pretty on a positive note.
Lighthearted, nothing. All the stakes were met.
But you get to this movie and you meet Thanos.
Yeah.
Thanos comes in 5 minutes in, he's killing people.
Thanos, possibly greatest movie villain of all time. Possibly. He's in the conversation.
I'd say he's in the conversation for sure.
And I think to me it's probably Vader, right?
Yeah.
But maybe not. You know what I mean? Like, if I have to look at it objectively.
You think he's like a Vader for
this
generation?
This generation? I mean, he might be a Vader for my generation. He's a big bad. Because if you think about it, okay, he's set up in Guardians, right? He's actually in Guardians. He's got the after credit at the end of Avengers. He's got the after credit at the end of Age of Ultron. So we've been building, not just everything pointing to him, but we've actually seen him several times. And the 1-2 punch of Infinity War and Endgame, which we'll talk about, in a few moments. But, man, stack the repertoire up against any movie villain. I don't know, man. It's a strong conversation. And also, the way that Vader is able to communicate through a costume, because it's a stationary helmet. You know what I mean? We've talked about in the past, the Green Goblin's head being so limiting, and sometimes these costume characters, there's a disconnect there. Vader somehow emotes through it, right? Mm-hmm. Thanos is the first fully CGI villain that I think it's like having a person there.
It looks ridiculously good.
The CGI is amazing. The motion tracking is amazing. The characterization, the voice inflection. I mean,
and he's imposing. You feel the gravity of the situation that you're in from the jump, from the beginning. And
you kill Loki. That's it. Dang, this stuff just got serious.
Yeah. And how good is Josh Brolin?
It's fantastic, man. He's so.
Talk about going back and forth. The guy was Jonah Hex. Okay, we don't talk about that. But then he was Thanos. Then he was Cable. And they're all so distinct. You don't go, oh, Cable and Thanos are too similar.
One of the things that I really, really enjoyed was that scene where Tony and Doctor Strange, once they start meeting up together, that's it just doesn't stop from there.
Yeah.
And there's one scene in particular when Thanos is the children of Thanos, they get to Earth, and it's just silence. You just hear a thud, and everyone kind of what's happening outside, and it's just eerie.
All of that, the sound design, the editing, it's just meticulous. Because that's what we're saying. We're saying the greatest blockbuster. It's not the best movie ever. It's a pretty great movie.
Exactly.
It's a great movie.
Yeah, it is. It's an achievement, man. It's unprecedented.
Russo brothers, if you guys are listening,
they're not.
You guys are a beast, bro. Kudos to you guys.
Also, help my boy Link with Zendaya's number.
Yeah.
Infinity War.
And then from that,
I mean, you have to end that with the snap.
Right?
The snap. The moment, Luke, I am your father, times 20.
Yeah.
I'm not saying maybe shaping no, maybe. Again, it's crazy to even have that conversation, to even think. But I mean, the memes, if everyone knows the line, Luke, I am your father, even though he doesn't actually say that, but if everyone knows the line, everyone knows this visual cue.
It's the culture
This
importance.
not, yeah, it's gonna live in infamy forever. And I didn't think you could end a Marvel movie like that. Sure, I've been on movies that end in downers, like even blockbusters, but like you said, Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
How do you come back from it? How do you come back from such immense tragedy?
I feel like the next two movies don't.
You throw in Paul Rudd. That's how you do
You
it.
literally got to throw in Paul Rudd. But even then, I feel bad for Paul Rudd because
As good as Ant-Man and the
Man.
Wasp, which is our next movie,
it's good.
Peyton Reed returns to
Peyton Reed
direct.
returns, but you're following you're following Infinity War.
Yeah,
What are you supposed to do?
Nah.
You can be the sexiest man alive,
which he is.
which he is, and
Science has proven it.
science has proven it. But I don't think
How many
even him.
How many issues did you buy?
How many copies
many
of
copies
People
of that issue?
Magazine Sexiest
I
Man
bought-
Alive of Paul
okay,
Rudd?
so I bought 3, right? Not only did I buy 3, one for my room,
Uh-huh.
one for my office, and one for my coworker's office.
Uh-huh.
But I framed them all.
Okay. So you haven't actually read any of these?
No, I don't know what's in the inside.
Are you serious?
I didn't open it. I didn't read it. And then at the same time, I didn't want to like just separate the cover
Right.
because I don't trust myself when it comes to cutting
Mhm.
and crafts. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna put this somehow fit in this whole
Entire
magazine,
magazine, yeah.
inside this picture frame,
Okay.
and I did a good job.
For those of you who haven't bought a magazine in years, they're like $18 now.
It was a 20. Oh yeah, those 3 magazines.
You
cost me
haven't
20
read
bucks.
the actual article?
No.
I just like looking at Paul Rudd. I don't
Yeah,
care what
yeah.
you say.
He's in my
Who
room
reads
now.
paper?
He's in my rud. He's in my rud.
He's
He's
in
in my
my rud.
room, and he does.
Is in my
He
blood.
looks at me
Is in
every
my
time
blood.
I'm changing, and it's beautiful.
That's-
Interesting.
Okay.
But
There's a lot to unpack there.
I appreciated the levity of it
Yeah.
because honestly, I don't know.
You were still reeling.
Yeah, it was just so. It was what, a couple of months after?
It
Yeah.
was literally 2 months after, less than 2 months, 3.
3 months after, and
Less than 2 months. 3.
I-
Again, our listeners here for the math.
I was fine. I was fine with the story that they were going. It wasn't as serious, and I needed a bit of a break.
Yeah.
After what I saw.
You know what? Yeah,
So I I
You're right.
appreciated it, and that's why I said you throw in Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also you get, oh man, I forget his name, but Morpheus,
Lawrence Fishburne.
Lawrence
Lawrence
Fishburne.
Fishburne, another great actor. Man, we should keep on getting great people all the time.
You know what's great about the Ant-Man films?
Paul Rudd.
We've talked about representation. We talk about how important it is. And this phase will continue to do that when we talk about some of the most recent movies and how important Black Panther was. There's not a ton of Latino representation, Latino or Latina, no Hispanic representation for the most part. The closest thing we have
Is Lewis?
is Louis. Was it Louis?
Luis, yeah.
Yeah, Luis. Ant-Man's friend. We get Ghost in this movie, and I know she's not Hispanic, but she immigrates to Argentinian, and she's like culturally Argentinian.
Mm.
So I'll take that. You know, she's ethnically ambiguous. We don't really know a lot about her, where she came from. But so if we count her and Luis, like, these are the only Latinos that exist in the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. There's like 800 characters in Infinity War and in Endgame to come,
Good point.
and that's as close as I can get.
We're calling you out, Kevin Feige. Put us in your next Marvel movie. Give me Zendaya.
I'm not sure that's exactly what I was calling for, but it would be nice to see, which is, and it's kind of like, not a catch-22, but it's kind of like, I don't know where to get them from, because comics historically are not very representative. I think there's been a movement to get more African American characters and creating new characters that
Mhm.
replace some traditional roles, and you know, and race swapping, which can be controversial at times, but definitely works. Sometimes we don't even bat an eyelash at it, you know. But we don't have a ton of Latino representation in comic books in general, and that's been quite adamant in the MCU. So shout out to Ant-Man.
Michael Pena, we love you.
That's right, keeping it real. So Ant-Man and the Wasp is kind of a side note. It's good. Not as good as Ant-Man
Not
1.
as good as Ant-Man
Not
1.
as
Yeah, not as good as Ant-Man 1. Setting stuff up for the future. I like Ghost. I hear rumors she may be involved in Thunderbolts. We'll see.
Thunderbolts of lightning.
But then the probably most controversial film in Phase 3, Captain Marvel, arrives March 8th, 2019.
26.
What?
Is it 8th or 26?
No, March 8th, 2019. That's what I
Okay.
have. We're totally not just reading our notes. But it comes in March 2019. Just a few
You're right, you're
short
right, you're
weeks, almost days from Endgame.
2 weeks. Like 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay, let me draw a parallel here. Tell me if you agree with this. Solo came out a couple of months after The Last Jedi. Sandwiched right like in between Avengers Endgame, Avengers Infinity War, Deadpool 2. It got lost in the shuffle. It did terribly in the theaters. A bunch of people didn't see it. Maybe some people didn't like it. It never stood a chance. Bad scheduling from Disney. You think this happened to Captain Marvel? Because I do.
I do too. They should have released it a month earlier instead of 3 weeks before.
Yeah, how close? Yeah, I wouldn't even have put it there, to be honest with you. I would have released it the year before. Like,
Because
okay.
because Endgame comes out April 26th.
Yeah.
This came out April 8th.
I know, March 8th. That's what I have.
It's a month. It's a month.
It's
and-
about a month.
It's a
About
month
a
and a
month?
couple of days.
Yeah, but regardless, listen, look, Avengers Infinity War came out
They-
April 2018. Ant-Man and Wasp came out July. Dude, throw a November movie there or something.
For real.
I think that they did move up Endgame. I think I remember that.
Like it was supposed to come out later.
Like a week later, I think. it
Okay,
was
but a
moved
week
up.
is a week, man. Like Captain Marvel shouldn't have been anywhere near it. I'm gonna just say it. I don't know if this is a hot take. I like Captain Marvel. I really like Captain Marvel. Thoughts?
Not the best introduction for a solo hero.
Position. I didn't like where it was.
Yeah. Listen, I don't think it's a great movie. I think it's a really good. I think it's a really solid movie. I think in 2019, especially April 2019, I don't think audiences were ready for a good movie. I also think this movie got overhyped. Again, it's very important.
Who overhyped this?
These are the things. Number one, if Black Panther for a segment of the audience was like finally representation, I think this is the first female-led hero, and it had a lot of hype to live up to.
Nah, she had hype. She was the end credit scene of Infinity War. She's the
Exactly.
savior. She's the one
She
that's
comes
gonna...
out after the credits. This movie
Okay,
was
makes sense, that makes sense.
required viewing. If you don't watch this movie, you are not gonna understand or be ready for Endgame. That turned out to not be true.
It's just the position, and I don't know where they would have put it to introduce this character, but right before the biggest movie
All time?
ever,
Yeah.
like,
Again, I really like this movie. But, and this is not an insult because we've mentioned that we like this movie and it might be one of the greatest movies of all time for some people. But this movie is basically First Avenger. This, to me, for some people, that's the greatest movie. And you know what? For some people, Captain Marvel might be like the greatest movie. I don't think so. I also don't think First Avenger. But it's basically like the same story structure.
you actually bring up a good point because, yeah, First Avenger came out right before Avengers.
Yeah.
And they introduced the leader of the team right
Mhm.
before the main movie with all of them.
Exactly.
So what do you think are some differences? Because that worked.
Well, number one, he was the leader of the team.
He was there throughout the whole movie.
Yeah. Captain Marvel, they kind of sold you like she's going to help save the Avengers. And then they sideline her in Endgame, which makes all the sense in the world for the narrative of Endgame, but I don't
Not for
know why you teased her in Infinity War. And then even at the end of this movie, her after credit scene, that is like the first time that we see footage from the Endgame timeline, That really set up like, okay, maybe if you didn't love this movie, get ready. It's all going to pay off in Endgame. I don't think it really does,
I feel like this movie, as much as I don't really care about it,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the implications with the Skrulls,
Yeah.
that's gonna, in the future, it's gonna pay off. It kind of reminds me of what other movie did that? that made no sense. Well, it was there, but
Age of Ultron did that a lot. We talked about Guardians.
yeah, Guardians.
2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like
I'll tell you, Doctor Strange, for
Doc-
example, like set up a bunch of stuff. It was a great movie on its own, so you don't get hung up. But it set up stuff like Mordo, and that like
Yeah.
it's like a whole decade has passed apparently.
And I feel like with the how do you call it? With the multiverse, this movie probably especially with the scrolls might have something
yeah.
to do. Might play an important role.
I mean, it
that we
already
don't
started
realize.
playing into an important role in not Homecoming, Far From Home,
Far From Home, yeah.
which we'll talk about in a little bit. But so it already has started paying dividends, but we know that we have like Secret Invasion. You know, we have so much stuff. So it's in a weird place where it still hasn't paid off the stuff it set up.
So at the moment, that's why I feel like not many people care about it.
Yeah.
Or like it.
I think it's really good. I know some of the criticisms are like the emotionless, lead protagonist. I understand those criticisms. I do think that it's a big plot point of the movie. So I don't really understand why you can hold that against the character.
I also think she gets a lot of unnecessary hate.
Yeah, also it was like, what's that term? When it like they just blew up the reviews before the movie was even
Review
out.
bomb?
Movie bomb?
Yes, it got review bombed, right? So there was just a firestorm. I think there was a lot of negative comments that I read online.
I feel like she doesn't really help herself out too, because she could be a little bit.
She doubles down.
Yeah, she's kind of rude.
Yeah, some people don't
People don't
like,
like that, yeah.
Listen, some people don't like the comments that she makes, and also
Yeah.
sometimes I think they blow out what she says out of proportion because I
Yeah.
don't think she's saying what you think
It's
she's
the
saying.
internet. They take everything
Yeah.
out of context.
Okay, let's be honest. Okay, it's sad that in the year 2019, up until even today, 2021, like this is even still a controversy.
Yeah.
Like just the fact that it's a female-led film, was divisive, and I don't know if any of us actually got to see this movie with clean eyes. So some of us love it probably for reasons that it doesn't deserve. Some of us hate it for reasons that it doesn't deserve. I think it's really good. I think it fits in just fine. I rewatch it. I love it in the chronological order though, when it's like first Avenger and then this movie and then everything.
It's the
That makes sense
position.
when it
It's
makes sense,
it's
yeah.
the position.
It's such an early story to tell too when we're at the end.
That's okay. I think that's one of my biggest things. It's like she's been here for longer than we've known, and you're literally just inserting her right before
Yeah.
the payoff for everything.
Yeah.
That to me feels a little cheap.
It feels tacked on.
Again, I don't know how they would have done it differently.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's just one of those things. It's just a hard
Like,
thing
what are
to
you
do.
supposed to do? We didn't make a female-led film, but it's not the right time, so let's not make a female-led film. And with that being said, maybe she also like laid the groundwork for another movie that we're gonna talk about. But before we do that, we got to talk about Endgame.
It's the biggest movie. Like I
One of the
think
greatest thing that ever happened to cinema.
I think it's just it has to be the biggest movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of all time.
It's like for me, Return of the Jedi, Return of the King. It's bigger than the movie before it. Maybe arguably not as good, but it's got to wrap up a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
And
So-
I think it sticks.
Yeah.
I think it sticks the landing.
I think it does a better job than Return of the Jedi does at Star Wars.
Really?
Yeah.
That is.
Why?
Gabe was like physically aghast at that. Unpack that.
No, I feel like it just does a better job in doing that. I mean, because you guys put me on spot, man.
Yeah,
Kinda-
that-
I mean, you said it. I want to know.
okay.
You
You're
made a
calling
comment
out. You're
on a
calling out one of my
podcast,
favorite movies of all
So
time.
you're gonna have to explain it.
Okay, so it does a better job than Return of the Jedi, in right?
There's no Ewoks. Is that what it is? Is
It's
that
because of the whole Ewoks, yeah. It doesn't do as good a job as Return of the King.
okay? That's interesting. I actually would say the opposite. I say I think it does a better job than
No,
Return
because I
of the
think
King.
Return of the King for me is like the best movie to end in the trilogy.
Okay, that's
Um,
for me. That's a hot take, Gabe.
also Return of the King is the best one of the trilogy.
I'm gonna be honest with you. What?
I think Return of the King's extended edition is the best one of the.
It's my favorite one. I don't know if it's the best
I
It's
film.
think
not either of mine. It's not. I don't think it's the best, and it's not my favorite.
of the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yeah.
I think it's the best one. The reason why I think it's Return of the King does it better is because I think that Infinity War is better than Endgame.
Mm-hmm.
But you need each other. You they alley oop each other.
Okay.
I just think that
It's like The Godfather Part 1 and 2.
yeah. You know, yeah.
No? Maybe? He has to think about it.
Yeah, I have to think about it.
It's getting late.
It's getting late.
How does it wrap? Because there's more stuff to wrap.
Yeah, it just does a better job wrapping it in my.
I mean, I don't think you can fault.
I think here's my gripe with
Not only does it-
Return of the King. Here's my gripe with Return of the King.
Oh wait, which movie were we talking about? We're talking about like.
Yeah,
I thought we were talking about.
we've
Endgame.
lost the plot.
There's only one return.
Okay, that's right, and it's of the Jedi. Return of the King has like 4 endings because it has to wrap up everything, and I think that bogs it down. I think Endgame wraps it in a nice little bow. You know, it puts closure on everyone's story simultaneously. You know, it does it neatly, and I don't think it bogs down the film. I think it tells a lot of plot. The thing about Endgame is that I had no idea where that movie was going. I was just like, I had no idea what was gonna go into the movie, and I couldn't even bother to guess.
I had no idea.
Yeah. And not all of it makes sense. And you know what? Ultimately, that's what makes Infinity War a better movie. Because I think if you nitpick and you go through it, there's plot holes there.
I mean, the time
Yeah.
travel stuff.
Yeah.
The time-
You can wave your hand and like, whatever, it's time travel, so it doesn't make sense any. I love that. The wink and the nod, like, none of this makes sense. Like, the movie
Yeah.
literally states it. But with that being said, you just have to kind of just accept.
I think Endgame has an impossible task.
Yep,
but
absolutely.
I think it does it.
Because it's like, okay, Return of the King had to wrap up 3 movies. Return of the Jedi had to wrap up 3 movies. Endgame has to wrap up like what, 20 plus movies?
Yeah.
And it does it.
Yeah.
It succeeds.
You know what? Here you go. You convinced me on that one.
Okay.
You convinced me on that one.
All right.
It's able to. It wraps up 20 plus movies.
That's gonna be a feather in my cap tonight. Okay, so Avengers Endgame. That's it. That's the end of Phase 3. No, Sony has to release a Spider-Man movie in 2019.
We have to get the last word.
And you know what? I feel like, I felt bad for Ant-Man and Wasp coming out after Infinity War.
I do not feel bad for Far From Home.
Far From Home was, it was.
I had my doubts. I was like, how do you go to
How do you go over to
Spider-Man?
I watched after I finished Endgame, which I don't know if I'm not really proud of it, but I watched the movie in theater like so many times, and it was a 3-hour movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It had to have been like 10.
I think I watch Infinity War more, which is almost like a 3-hour movie, right? It's really
Yeah.
long, like 2.5 or something. I watch Infinity War a buttload of times, but Endgame, I had already learned my lesson because I think I literally saw Infinity War a dozen times in the movie theater. That by the time Endgame was like, I'm gonna have to pace this out because now the Marvel movie marathon had become like a yearly tradition at least. So like, I'm gonna watch this movie a bunch of times in my life. I do not need to watch it. I probably watched it half a dozen times, but
It's actually funny with Endgame. I put my phone to record like a voice memo.
yeah.
And it like recorded like all our genuine reactions.
Really?
Yeah, and I thought that was so like I heard it back one day and I'm just like, man, this like hearing like when portals happens, when a bunch of different stuff, like I can recall it like vividly.
Portals is the snap, right, of Endgame?
Yeah.
Yeah, just a happy version.
Yeah. It's almost like giving us back what we lost. I
Man.
mean, no, it's not almost. It's literally that. That's literally
I mean,
what,
Portals is just I can't compare it to anything. There's literally I don't know.
take this Transformers movie.
I don't want to get sacrilegious, but
It's
I've actually
there's
taught
some
that.
biblical. There's some
No, I've actually taught that about the biblical.
It's like
Bi-
biblical proportions.
It's a biblical proportion.
What you
yeah.
thought was sacrilegious, I've actually taught,
It's a
taught
bib-
that.
it's a biblical. It was
In
an
my
event of
class,
biblical
yeah.
proportions.
Yeah. So Far From Home has that enviable task and it hits a home run.
You know why? Let me tell you why I think it.
Jake
hits him.
Gyllenhaal.
Zendaya.
Zendaya. I knew it.
Zendaya.
I knew it.
Zendaya.
I knew
Why
it.
did I
I knew he
even
was going. It's
bother?
Paul Rudd and Zendaya.
She was already in the movie. Okay. She is
But-
great. Her role is expanded. Tom Holland is charming as ever. Jake Gyllenhaal finally gets the role that he wanted, the right role to show up in a Marvel movie. They do great with Mysterio, more than I'd ever
Yeah,
imagined.
I didn't think they'd do so great with him.
Yeah. They introduced the multiverse, then they rip it away from us. At that point, I was like, oh, we're not going to do multiverse.
Yeah, because it's like, hey, we're giving you this, psych.
Yeah.
But you know, I mean, you can never really doubt them. What I did really like about this was we are like on that journey with Peter. We like obviously, like you said, we see him grow up and, and
Mhm.
stuff like that. But we are also going through his experience of losing Tony,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
it's his experience is our experience.
I mean, Tony's my favorite Avengers in the MCU. and that hit me hard.
Yeah.
Like I kind of
That's
felt
iconic too.
I kind of felt like it was coming,
Him dying.
Mm-hmm.
but like someone took because I took a bunch of my friends for Endgame. Like I bought it like 2 rows in the theaters,
Right.
and so there's a video of me in like a full Iron Man helmet that I bought in preparation for this movie, with my head in my hands after that happened. And I don't know, it just hit me hard. So going to Far From Home, I was kind of just like, man, do I really want to do this? Do I really want
It's
to get
almost
back
like
into
attending
this?
the funeral of Tony
Yeah.
Stark. Yeah.
That's basically what it is. And so, but man, Far From Home was something that I didn't know I needed, and it really it helped.
And how did we get here? 10 years, 20 plus films. We didn't care about Tony Stark, and now it's like losing a loved one.
Yep. No, I Love You 3000.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
The catharsis of every loss in your life, the loss of loved ones, being distilled in this moment, in the death of a man in a suit of armor. It's not unlike the stories we told in old English tales centuries and even millennials ago. Sir Gawain, King Arthur, and those archetypes continuing to be developed throughout generations and retold back to us. This phase 3, where we see the young men and women grow, get older, and either fall to the folly of their decisions or meet the expectations and the true valor that they were called to uphold, fighting against an almost unseemable battle against evil and coming out on the other side of it. In many ways, that's what we face each and every day, and as our lives go on. And as we go on, we'll continue to explore the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and what the stories that are told through it mean to us in our lives. Until then, keep searching.